Welcome to Backstage at TCT. We would love if you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can see our new content when it comes available. Today, our guest is Jeff Ellis. Thank you, Jeff, for coming today. So nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get started with, how long have you been involved at TCT?
It's been a little while. I started my first show at 11. So it's been since 1988.
Okay, and you've also been on the Board of Governors. You've been a past president, and I think VP of production.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about those duties and how the Board of Governor works?
For sure. The first year I was on the board, I was the chair of Makeup and Hair and a Board of Governors. And so I was in charge of making sure that we had people every show for volunteers for that section of the theater. And then the second year I was on the board, I was VP of production. That's a lot bigger job.
Yeah.
Making sure, the technical director is on point, making sure everybody is have all their duties filled, and then of course volunteers.
Yes.
What we run on here at Temple Civic Theater. And then I was honored to be asked to be the president of the board, and that was a true honor. It was an amazing experience. I have so many mentors in this theater and so many people that really took care of me since I was 11. But when I was the president, having all the support and to see everybody in their different roles and to really get the mentorship to be able to run a theater as amazing as ours. And the board is such a working board currently, but also we're a fundraising board as well. So that was a big part of the job as the board president, is to get all those people in place and get all those funds in place, which of course everybody knows that we desperately need as a nonprofit community theater.
Correct. Speaking of volunteering and also the hair and the makeup chair, so I've been in that position as well. You actually were the one who got me into the theater because I called you and was saying, hey, I think I want to volunteer, and you're the one who brought me on board. What do you think we should look for? Tell us about what to volunteer for, even hair and makeup. Maybe somebody out there might want to call us up and volunteer.
Oh, well, you and I are definitely the exception. We do it as a living.
Exactly.
But we definitely are so thankful for all the volunteers. My mentor, and you know her, Karen Duggan, she's the one that got me involved.
Yes.
When I was a teenager, before I ever went to cosmetology school, and it's what your passion is, what you're interested in, and maybe just something that you might have a little bit of a skill at. And there's so many different ways to volunteer at the theater. You don't have to have any previous experience. You don't even have to know how to pick up a brush. You don't know how to have to pick up a curling iron.
Right.
Because normally we help train everybody, and we have work days, and we have all kinds of amazing mentors. So being a volunteer in that position, it's just something that maybe you thought, oh, that's something I might be interested in.
Right. And that's kind of what I said. I said, oh, well, I can surely help with hair and makeup.
Right.
So, and here I am, 3 years later.
And we're not letting you go.
And I'm not planning on leaving. So do you remember your first show here, and how old were you, and what was that show?
I do remember it because, again, I was very young, and it was a very different show. It was the show called Royal Hunt of the Sun. And my parents and I have been racking our brains trying to figure out how we were recruited to be in that show, because we had to be Inca Indians.
Okay.
And I'll never forget it, and I don't know if it's PG or not to say it anymore, but we stood in the dressing room in makeshift toga/diaper while the makeup and hair chair people body painted us to be darker Inca Indians.
Right.
And I remember my mother hating that show because every night my father and I'd have to come home and take a shower in our white shower.
Yeah.
And she would have to clean the tub every single night from that show. And my best memory from that show was the technical director at the time. His name was Roger Daniels.
Okay.
And he was a very close personal friend with my dad. And he tapped me on the shoulder one night and he said, Jeff, if you can see the audience, they can see you. And so that was my first lesson in don't peek out the curtains, don't, see who's sitting out there and don't wave to your fans.
Right.
And I'll never forget that because he was such a mentor to my dad and such a mentor to me. And he was kind of a gruff man, but, he had a little bit of a soft spot for me. So that was nice of him not to scream at me and holler. He just kindly tapped me on the shoulder.
To explain to you.
So that's a show I'll never forget. Never.
Now, we were so excited because just last weekend, we had our very first production since COVID here at the theater called Five Till Places, and you were in the show. So what was that like? How was it being on stage again after we've been closed and shut down for almost a year or over because of COVID, and what was that feeling like, and what was the energy backstage? Tell us about it.
It was amazing. I mean, we all talked about how surreal it was. It was so weird that we actually were back and we were here and we were getting to rehearse and we had an audience. I mean, we sounded almost like a broken record, all of us MCs that were talking during the show, because we were just super excited. And the audience was excited. I mean, they were just so excited to be back. And I mean, we're trying to kick COVID in the butt, but it's still, raging its awful head. But, we're doing the best we can. And so with that, it was just so much joy. And I, of course, am kind of the mid-range. But, one of my mentors, Betsy Chamley, was in the show with me, all the way down to Priscilla's, youngest son, Levi, that I know personally. And, I mean, it was just a great opportunity to get to sing and play and have fun with people of all ages. It was just amazing. It was a great, great opportunity. And I don't know the final numbers, but, man, we did some fundraising for the theater, so we're really excited about that.
We did we had a great weekend, it was wonderful. Now, here is something that we're going to be doing is The Other Side of Nothing. So tell me about that. You're in this show as well.
Yes.
It is a play that was written by Gary Gosney and Margie Reinierson. But is there anything you can tell us about your character and anything without giving it all away about the show? And how is the cast of that show, how do they feel about coming out on stage for the first time after being nothing going on for over a year?
Well, all of us feel very honored, first of all, is we lost Margie during the pandemic, not to COVID, but we lost her. And so we hadn't had an opportunity to honor her. And so this is going to be our way to honor her. And of course, Gary Gosney, one of our icons here in town. And they are such good playwrights and they're so fun. And the show it hits home in some aspects, but it also will be fun. And I play George, which is Martin's best friend, the lead character. It's one of his best friends. And we're part of a coffee group, just like a coffee group that you would see anywhere here in town, where we get together, us guys, and we sit around the table and we just talk about everything. And I'm actually a psychologist, which is funny being a hairstylist because I probably needed a degree to do hair as well as being a psychologist. And so he's a fun character. He's interesting, and he's definitely a lot like me, and that's maybe why I got the part. Is because he definitely asks a lot of questions.
Correct.
And he likes to talk.
And as a hairstylist, we have, I say to some of my clients, welcome to your therapy session.
Yes. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
So let's talk about some of the shows that you've been in at the theater in the past. So Hairspray. Tell me about that. Any any fun, crazy stories, and how great was it to play that character?
Well, Hairspray was a very interesting show to play because it was the first time I've ever had to dress like an older woman. And so a lot of people didn't believe me at first. They're like, what part are you playing? No, I don't get it. And it was really funny that so many people came up to us after the show and they were like, you're a woman? You're a man? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that they don't make women like me, but okay. So we had some of them very, very full. But it was a great character to play, being able to play Tracy Turnblack's mom, and she's just such a character and over the top and a range. She starts out with just a frumpy housewife all the way up to, she tries to be a glamour girl at the end. And then it was also an amazing experience to be able to be at Temple College.
Mhm.
That was the first time that I was here, performed at TCT, that we took a show over to Temple College, and I was a part of, because just the energy in there, and it being such a bigger theater and a bigger stage, and also a proscenium, which is a lot different, which definitely lent itself to that television, Hairspray feel.
Right.
It was a great show to be a part of.
Now tell us about Mamma Mia. That was a fun show, and
Very fun.
that was during the season right before COVID hit, correct?
It was.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia was such a great cast for connectivity.
Mhm.
A lot of people didn't know that, but we were the backstage singers as well. So it wasn't a track, it wasn't singing along with it. And so we had a dance party, sing party every single night. If you were not on stage, you were backstage, and we were singing all that great ABBA music.
Right.
And I think that's what made it so much fun, because, who doesn't like ABBA?
Oh, I know.
It's great, great music. And then, of course, it's really is a big family, the story of the three dads.
Mhm.
So, they're still two of my closest guy friends, and I get to be on stage with Chris in the other side of nothing, and, we're friends again. And so we're so excited to do that show, and it just made this theater come to life, because everybody, it was hard not to keep the people in their seats.
Right,
for that
and
show.
at the end, everybody
Yes.
come up and dance, on stage.
They wanted to the whole show.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast. Tell me about that show. And also, you had prosthetics, because we had to turn you into the Beast. How long did that take, and what did that feel like? And give us some insight and some stories about that whole show.
Well, you and I talked about dream roles,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the ultimate dream role for me. I've always wanted to be the Beast, and always had kind of a connection,
Mhm.
with him. And man, did everybody make me feel important for that show, because it was an hour in prosthetics
Mhm.
every night,
Mm-hmm.
with hair and makeup and prosthetics and costumes, and we had great, beautiful costumes. And of course, one of my mentors and my idol, Natasha Tollison,
Mhm.
directed me in that show. And she hadn't directed me in a show since I was her high school student.
Really?
So it was definitely a full circle moment for me,
Mhm.
and for her to bring all that magic to our stage. And it was just such a beautiful but hard show to do. And without her talent, I don't think that we would have been able to do it. And with the talents of all of our hair and makeup people, all of our set people, all of our props people, it took, no pun intended, a village
It did. It
to
did.
do that show. And it was just an opportunity of a lifetime. And it was difficult. It was a difficult role to play. And me personally, being in that chair for so long,
Mhm.
I'm not a sitter, and I'm not one of those people that are just like, oh, let's just lounge and let's put a pound of makeup on.
Right.
That was a little bit difficult, but for me to be able to play a dream role like that, I just wouldn't trade it for the world.
And what would you say your favorite production is? Your favorite musical or play?
Oh my gosh. Well, that is too hard. There is no answer, Kelly. There's so many roles out there that I've had the privilege to play. Because for someone like me, that's why I always tell people at the Temple Civic Theater that there's a place for everybody. I don't fit the mold whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I am 6'7".
Mhm.
I am 300 pounds. I am a big, huge guy with this crazy tenor voice,
Mhm.
and I don't fit the stereotype. But we at Temple Civic Theater, we do so many different kinds of shows. I couldn't imagine being able to play all these roles that I've played over the years, because I don't fit the normal
Typical mold.
So I definitely could narrow it down to just one.
Well, so what does Temple Civic Theater mean to you?
Oh, it means family. It means a part of my heart. I have loved this place since I was a little kid. I have been here. You're trying to be like Oprah and try to get me to cry, right? This is a place where my family and I hung out.
Yeah.
Some families hang out at the ball field. Some families hang out at concert halls. We hang out at the Temple Civic Theater.
Mhm.
My mom was here. My dad was here. We just loved being here. And some of the people that I love to see on a daily basis, are people from this theater.
Right. And your dad is also on the production board now.
He is on the production board.
And he's volunteered here, and your mother as well, forever.
Exactly. We were one of the only families to receive a production award because we had done so many shows as a family.
Right.
And, we're kind of like the Three Amigos. I'm an only child, and it's just the three of us, and we just love it here. We just love it here.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Jeff, for being here today. Thank you so much for your time, and I cannot wait to see you on stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Backstage at TCT. And please check out in our description, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and in the description it will also give you information if you would like to contact us for volunteering. Thank you so much.